You have a PhD in cognitive behavioral psychology. You work for the government, and you have never once met the people whose minds you've destroyed. This is your life. Level 1. The offer. You're 29 years old, fresh out of your postdoctoral fellowship at Georgetown. Your research on memory reconsolidation got published in 3 journals. Nobody outside academia read them. Then, someone did. A man in a gray suit meets you at a coffee shop in Washington, D.C. He doesn't show you a badge. He doesn't need to. He slides a folder across the table. Inside is your entire life, your thesis, your apartment address, your student loan balance, $214,000. He doesn't threaten you. He offers you a job. Behavioral science consultant, GS-13 pay grade, $94,000 a year, full federal benefits, top secret clearance. You tell yourself it's just consulting. You tell yourself you'll see what it is first. You sign the NDA before you finish your coffee. That's level 1. You said yes before you knew the question. Level 2. The facility. They drive you to a building in Northern Virginia. No signs, no logos, just a parking lot and a badge reader. Inside, it looks like a university research center. Clean, quiet, fluorescent lights. You're introduced to your supervisor, Dr. Ellen Marsh. Mid-50, calm eyes, speaks like she's done this 1,000 times, because she has. She explains your role in careful language. You're helping design behavioral conditioning frameworks for high-value field assets. Translation, you're building psychological profiles for operatives. Your job is to identify mental vulnerabilities, attachment disorders, trauma responses, dissociative tendencies. You're looking for people who can be shaped. Week 1, you review case files, names redacted, photos redacted, just raw psychological data. You write reports. You suggest conditioning approaches. At the end of the week, Dr. Marsh tells you your first report was excellent. You feel proud. That's the first warning sign you ignore. Level 3. The program. 6 months in, you're read into the actual program. It has a name you're not allowed to write down. You're not conditioning operatives, you're programming sleeper agents, civilians, recruited without full knowledge of their purpose. Your job is to install behavioral triggers, responses that can be activated months, sometimes years later. It's not science fiction, it's applied psychology at its most precise. You use layered trauma association, Pavlovian response mapping, identity fragmentation. You build a second self inside someone's mind, a version of them that only wakes up when called. Your first full case is a 34-year-old man from Phoenix. You never meet him. You design his protocol from a file. 6 weeks later, Dr. Marsh tells you the conditioning was successful. She doesn't tell you what he was activated to do. You don't ask. That night, you drink 2 glasses of whiskey and sleep 9 hours. You tell yourself ignorance is a kind of innocence. It isn't. Level 4. The money. Year 2. Your salary jumps to $140,000. You move into a townhouse in Alexandria. You buy furniture that costs more than your first car. The work becomes routine. 5 cases a month, sometimes 7. You've developed your own methodology now. Marsh calls it the most efficient conditioning framework the program has ever used. You feel something when she says that. You don't examine it too closely. Your colleagues don't talk about the subjects. You develop the same habit. At dinner parties, the few you attend, you say you work in federal behavioral research. People find it boring. You're grateful. Then, one Friday, you're handed a file different from the others. The subject is 19 years old, a college student from Ohio. No criminal history, no radicalization flags, just someone whose psychological profile fit the criteria. You sit with the file for a long time. Then you open your laptop and start building the protocol. You tell yourself someone else would do it if you didn't. That's what they all tell themselves. Level 5. The access. Year 3, they give you clearance to observe live conditioning sessions, a facility in Maryland. Looks like a medical clinic. The subjects think they're in a government wellness study. They signed consent forms. The consent forms didn't describe this. You watch through one-way glass. A psychologist, one of yours, trained on your framework, runs the session. The subject is calm, cooperative. They don't know what's being built inside them. You take notes, clinical, detached. Afterward, you eat lunch in the cafeteria and talk about baseball with a colleague. That's when you realize something is shifted in you. You used to feel something looking at those files. Now you feel nothing. That's not peace. That's damage. But the program doesn't care about your interior life. It cares about your output, and your output has never been better.
Level 6. The First Crack. Year 4. A name appears in a newspaper. A man from Phoenix, arrested for a federal crime you don't recognize the classification of. The age matches. The city matches. You search the name in your secure system. Access denied. You search the case number from your memory. Flagged immediately. Dr. Marsh calls you into her office within the hour. She's calm. She's always calm. She tells you the search was a mistake and not to repeat it. She smiles when she says it. That's the moment you understand. The smile means we saw what you did, and we are watching everything. You drive home in silence. You sit in your expensive Alexandria townhouse, and for the first time in years, you feel afraid. For the subjects, for yourself. Level 7. The Weight. You start sleeping badly. Faces you never saw start appearing in your dreams. The 19-year-old from Ohio, the Phoenix man, others, dozens of others. You built the architecture of their minds, and you don't know what's living in those houses now. You request a transfer. Marsh denies it. You request a sabbatical. Denied. You request access to outcome data. What happened to the subjects after activation? Denied. Flagged. Another meeting. This time there are 2 men in the room you've never seen. No introductions. They tell you the program values your contributions. They tell you your role is critical. They tell you your security clearance can be expanded or revoked. The words are precise. You understand what they're really saying. You go back to your desk. You open the next file. You keep working, because the alternative isn't retirement. Level 8. The Other Side of the Glass. 5 years in, a new case lands on your desk. Standard intake file, psychological assessment, vulnerability mapping. You open it, and you see a photo, a face you recognize. It's your graduate research assistant from Georgetown, a young woman named Sarah, brilliant, quiet, trusting. She applied for a federal wellness research study 6 months ago. Your study, your framework, your recruitment pipeline. You stare at the file for 11 minutes, then you close it, then you open it again. Sarah doesn't know you designed the system that found her. She doesn't know her psych profile, the one she was proud of, healthy attachment style, high resilience, deep loyalty, reads like a perfect candidate to your trained eye. She trusts institutions. She'll cooperate fully. She'll never see it coming. You have 2 choices. Flag the file, withdraw from the case, and make yourself a problem the program has to solve, or open your laptop and begin. You think about the gray-suited man in the DC coffee shop 5 years ago. You think about how fast you signed. You think about Sarah sitting somewhere right now, trusting, unaware, and you understand, finally, completely, what you are. You are not a scientist. You are not a consultant. You are not a good person who made a bad choice. You are the system. You built it. You refined it. You made it efficient. And now it's looking at you through your own eyes, asking you to do it one more time. The cursor blinks on the empty document. Your hands are already on the keyboard. The program continues. It always does, because people like you keep saying yes. And the worst part? You're still not sure you're going to stop. This wasn't fiction.
The psychological techniques in this video are based on documented government research programs. The names were changed, the methods weren't. If you made it to level 8, you already know what kind of person survives this world. The question is, what does surviving cost? Like, subscribe, and think carefully about the next thing you agree to.